A 90-pound German Shepherd was returned to a shelter outside San Antonio, Texas, because he had failed the one job he was bred and trained to do. He had washed out of a working dog program, dropped from training as unsuitable, too gentle, too soft, lacking whatever hard edge the work required. He was a beautiful, powerful, perfectly healthy dog that the professionals had stamped as a failure, and he sat in that shelter for 84 days, passed over by 21 families who wanted an 8-week-old puppy and not a grown shepherd nobody else had kept. Every person who read his card saw the same 2 words the trainers had written and walked on. Then a young couple with a baby took a chance on the dog everyone called a washout. And 7 months later, in a backyard on an ordinary afternoon, that so-called failure did something in 4 seconds that no training program could have taught. And it is the reason a 1-year-old is alive. Ranger had been bred for the work. His whole line was working dogs, and from the time he was a puppy, he had been slated for a protection and detection program, the kind that turns German Shepherds into police and military canines. But somewhere in 11 months of training, Ranger had disappointed them. He was too gentle. He did not have the drive to bite, the edge they needed. Where the other 6 dogs in his class hardened into working animals, Ranger stayed soft. And after 11 months of training, one day a trainer wrote a single word on his file that ended that future: unsuitable. He was released from the program. And a dog bred and raised for one purpose, having failed that purpose, is a hard dog to place. He went to a shelter. Nobody wanted a washed-out working dog, and so a magnificent shepherd with a gentle heart sat in a concrete kennel, a failure at 2 years old, waiting for someone who did not need him to be hard. I still see you haven't subscribed. Ranger was thrown out of his training program for being too gentle, and in a minute you'll see what that gentleness did for one baby, and this is why. Tap subscribe first. Emma and Jason Reyes were not sure about a big dog with a baby in the house. They had a 1-year-old daughter, Nora, just starting to walk, and every instinct said get a small, safe, easy dog under 20 pounds. But they had gone to the shelter outside San Antonio to look, and while they were there, a volunteer told them about the German Shepherd in the back, the one who had washed out of a canine program for being too gentle. Too gentle. Emma stopped at that. She asked to meet him. And when they brought little Nora into the visiting room, the enormous dog who had failed to be a weapon lay down on the floor, all 90 pounds of him, and let a 1-year-old grab his ears and shriek in his face, and he did nothing but thump his tail against the ground and lean carefully toward the baby, as if she were the most precious thing he had ever been near. The thing the program had called a failure, the softness, was the exact thing that made Emma sign the papers. His name was Ranger. Ranger and Nora became inseparable from the first day. The dog who had been too soft for police work turned out to be exactly the right kind of soft for a toddler. He followed Nora everywhere, at the careful, deliberate pace of a 90-pound animal moving around someone small and breakable. When she wobbled and fell, learning to walk, Ranger was there within 1 second, a warm wall to grab. When she napped, Ranger lay outside her door. He had been bred to guard and trained and then rejected, and it turned out none of that mattered because the guarding was simply in him, and now he had someone small and precious of his very own to give it to. Emma would find them together a dozen times a day, the enormous shepherd and the tiny girl, and she stopped entirely worrying about the size of him. Ranger would sooner have died than let anything touch that baby, and Emma began to understand that the dog watched Nora with an attention that went beyond affection. He was aware of her constantly. He tracked her across rooms, positioned himself between her and anything unfamiliar, and kept a kind of perpetual, gentle vigil over the smallest member of his family. The trainers had said he lacked what the work required. What Ranger actually lacked was any interest in the work they wanted. The watchfulness, the devotion, the will to put himself between his family and harm, all of it was there. It had just been waiting for someone worth protecting. If you have ever watched something the world called a failure turn out to be exactly, perfectly right, you already know what this felt like. The months passed, and Ranger became the center of Nora's small world and the quiet guardian of the whole family. The Reyes family stopped seeing a washed-out working dog and saw only Ranger, Nora's Ranger, 90 pounds of gentle devotion who happened to shed on everything and take up half the couch. They had taken a chance on a failure, and they had gotten the best dog any of them had ever known. And then, on a warm afternoon in May, in their own backyard, the thing Ranger had been born for, the thing no program could train and no trainer could see, finally happened. It was a Saturday, and the family was in the backyard. Nora, now walking, was sitting in the grass in the sun, playing, and Ranger was lying 6 feet away, watching her the way he always did. Emma had gone inside for 2 minutes to refill a glass of water. Jason had turned for a moment to coil a garden hose. It was the kind of ordinary lapse every parent has 100 times. 30 seconds of not looking in your own fenced yard. For a moment, no adult was looking directly at the baby sitting in the grass. And in that moment, something moved in the grass near Nora. In the warm months in that part of Texas, rattlesnakes come out to sun themselves, and one had slipped under the fence into the yard, and it was in the grass, 3 feet from a 1-year-old, coiling, and Nora, curious, reached her small hand toward it. She was too young to know what a rattlesnake was. She saw only something moving in the grass and reached for it the way a baby reaches for everything. And Ranger did the thing that saved her. The dog, who had been too gentle to bite, crossed the distance to that baby in a heartbeat, and he did not hesitate for a fraction of a second. In under 4 seconds, Ranger put his own 90-pound body between Nora and the snake, shoving the baby backward with his shoulder, away from the grass, out of range, and he took the strike that had been meant for her. The rattlesnake struck Ranger twice, in the shoulder and the neck, as he covered the child with his body and drove her back toward the house. He did not so much as flinch away from her to spare himself the second bite. Jason turned at Nora's cry and saw it, the snake, the dog, the baby safe behind 90 pounds of shepherd. He got Nora inside, and Ranger, dropped from a program for a lack of the will to fight, had just thrown himself onto a rattlesnake to keep it from his baby and taken the venom into his own body instead of hers. They rushed Ranger to an emergency vet 15 minutes away. He was in serious trouble. 2 bites of rattlesnake venom in a dog, and the next 12 hours were touch and go. Nora did not have a mark on her, not one. The snake had never reached her because a 90-pound dog had put himself in the way. And as Ranger fought for his life on a vet's table, the family that had taken a chance on a failure understood exactly what they had brought home. Not a washout, not a reject, a guardian who had done without hesitation the one thing every trainer had sworn he did not have in him. Ranger survived. It took days and antivenom and a long recovery, but the gentle shepherd who had failed to become hard proved tougher than anyone had given him credit for, and he came home to the baby he had saved. And Nora, too young to understand, greeted him at the door the way she always did, with both arms and a shriek of joy. And Ranger, weak and bandaged, thumped his tail against the floor. The same 90-pound German Shepherd that 21 families walked past, the same dog stamped unsuitable, washed out, a failure at the one job he was bred for, the one nobody wanted. The same gentle dog a program had stamped useless. He was not a failure, and he was not too soft. He had been rejected for a gentleness the professionals could not use, and the first family that saw that gentleness as a gift instead of a flaw got the fiercest protector a child could have, a dog who took 2 bites of rattlesnake venom into his own body before he let it reach his baby. He had failed to become a weapon. He had been, the whole time, something far better. He had been Nora's. Emma told their story, and it spread far past San Antonio because the idea of a dog rejected as a failure who turned out to be a hero struck a chord in everyone who heard it. The shelter was flooded with people asking about the washouts, the returned working dogs, the ones some program had stamped as not good enough. 8 dogs that had been labeled failures, all of them washed out of one program or another, found homes in the 3 weeks after it spread. Today, 4 years on, Nora is a healthy little girl who does not remember the afternoon a dog saved her life. And Ranger is 6 now, gray coming into his muzzle, a small scar on his neck where the 2 fangs went in, and he is still exactly where he has always been, a step from that little girl, watching over her. He never did learn to be hard. He never needed to. And every day, a 90-pound German Shepherd still follows his girl through the yard, still lies down beside her in the grass, still refuses to let her sit out there alone, still keeps the gentle, total, unbreakable watch that a training program looked at and called a failure. Because as far as Ranger is concerned, guarding the one family that saw what he really was is the whole reason he was born. We look at a dog some expert has stamped a failure, and we believe the label, and we walk past. We never once ask whether the thing that made him useless to one purpose might make him perfect for another, might make him the exact soul who will throw his body over your child without a heartbeat of hesitation. Sometimes the one the professionals rejected is the one who was a hero all along, just waiting for someone worth being one for. So tell me, was Ranger a failure, or did the professionals simply never see what that gentle dog was really for? Drop your answer in the comments, and if a dog ever protected someone you love, say his name below.